Hey everybody, welcome to the JG Show. I'm in the ring with Roger. Roger is going to be telling us about technology. He is the bee man. He is helping beekeepers all over the world to grow and farm bees, and you'll be surprised how important bees are. We're going to also talk about the future of technology, VR, AI, and meditation. How important meditation is, and some good tips on how to get better connected with yourself. Let's do it. Here in China.
I ended up in China after 4 years of research and development in northeast England.
Okay.
We are running a technology company. We managed to attract some pre-seed capital from a Hong Kong-based firm. And at the end of the program that we were on in Hong Kong, I said to my colleagues, well, I'm not going back to Britain, I'm going to go to China and sort out production.
Okay.
We designed a range of AI-controlled beehives because the bees are dying. And we can use technology, in particular AI, the division of AI called machine learning, allows us to pull signals out of sensors and intelligent knowledge and data out of those sensor signals in order to be able to sharpen the beekeeper's toolbox. And you realize the bees are dying, you will be crying because that's the effect it had on me. I've got young children. I said I don't want to hand the world over to my children and grandchildren where there is essentially not freely available nutrition. And the bees in the wild have essentially died out. 30 or 50 years ago. Today it's no good. It doesn't work like that anymore because the bees are still dying. Commercial beekeepers have had 40% or more colony loss per year. That's the industry.
And you said, like, in your early, you've been doing technology since you were, what, 4, 9 years old?
9 years old, I went to my parents and I said I'd like to have a hobby, and Dad said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. And so Dad said, well, go to the library, it's 2 miles that way. So I went and I read through the library. I read through 3 or 4 aisles. It's been quite awesome, and it's kind of topped off when I got here and I saw that Shenzhen is really the city of LEDs. LED. And you get to Shenzhen and you come out on an evening and the buildings have LED displays on them, like big TV screens, but also just for pure artistic purposes, and there's lights going and wishy-washy patterns. It's great, but we will never do that in the rest of the Western world because the one building owner doesn't know the next building owner, and there's no possibility of them cooperating and saying, all right, we'll actually send you this data, and when this happens, you must do that. Whereas here,
which is obviously how it works in Shenzhen.
You have multiple buildings.
They have multiple
and the same thing.
Doing these. Yes.
That was just breathtaking.
Yeah.
To see where LEDs had gone as just one technology, where LEDs have gone. And you were here for the 70th birthday of the government last year.
Oh, wow.
That was just, there was so much luminous intensity, and it was just right because LEDs are so China.
Yes.
It happened here. The production happened. The design was elsewhere. But the production, 99% of it's been here.
Amazing.
So it's actually awesome to be surrounded by so much production capacity. In China was 2 things. First of all, the Chinese government said, hey guys, we need masks. And like in a flash, 1.4 billion faces in this country had masks.
Yes.
It was measured in weeks, not months.
That's right.
Name a country that you think could do half of that.
Yes.
Nobody has got anywhere near that. So it's just awesome. And when the government says, please just stay in your home village. Don't go back in 2 weeks after the Spring Festival. Stay in your home village. And by the way, buy a mask and put the mask on.
Yeah.
1.4 billion people stayed at home and, they put the mask on.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not an advocate for masks. I'm also not an advocate for China. But I'm just saying the experience I've had of being in China has changed my plan. My long-term plan was never to stay in China. Now, I don't want to leave. There are 2 parts of AI that are reasonably mature here now today. The third part is the autonomous general intelligence, and what's in the public domain says that there's not a lot of success. However, having been involved in technology this long and knowing that of the deep pockets that are invested in autonomous general intelligence, in other words, something like you and me, able to have this conversation that I don't know that you're not a machine.
Okay.
That level of AI, I suspect strongly it is available, but it's not in the public domain.
I see. So like Terminator kind of tech.
That's a very negative spin.
Yeah.
Very
but this
negative
is sort
spin.
of like where we can't control it, or it is like it's so human-like
But you can't tell the difference. It passes the
can't
Turing
tell the
test with
difference.
flying colours, yes. But the other two aspects, it factors basically into three areas. So there's one we've touched on there. The other two are deep learning and machine learning.
Okay, deep learning and machine learning.
These are neural networks. They're both neural networks modeled on what's in our brain. So scientific community has taken apart our brains and understood that they are made with connections, synapses. We've known this for 30 years. And the way that it works out is when you have a new memory that's made, there are connections that are made. And if you do that same thing again and again and again, it becomes a very strong connection, powerful, that you will struggle to get rid of it. It becomes embedded in your brain physically as a connection.
Okay.
So with deep learning and machine learning, they are sort of slightly different, but they give you very similar results. So deep learning allows you to give a machine vision. That's one of the things that it can do.
Vision, all right.
And that's fairly mature technology. So you get facial recognition. That's all over the world. It's got ups and downs. It can be abused and misused, etc., etc. So that's deep learning. I have a couple of applications for deep learning, but not in the beekeeping thing in terms of AI.
Okay.
The AI sector we were using for the bees was actually machine learning.
I see.
Now, machine learning is different. You can't, you wouldn't really choose machine learning to give a machine vision. That's deep learning. But machine learning is basically the best way to do pattern recognition.
Pattern recognition.
So we've been doing pattern recognition in data for donkey's years, 10, 20, 30 years.
I see.
And the algorithms have got better and better, and there's a load of open source stuff now. Now that we've got machine learning doing pattern recognition in raw data, if you and I look at any graphical representation of the data, it means nothing. It's like looking at a sea of different colors, and it means nothing.
Yes.
You take the same data and you train it through a neural network with machine learning, and you can say, find that for me. And this is the data, find that for me. And this needle in the haystack.
Yes.
It's so cool, it's so accurate, finding needles in immense haystacks.
Yes,
Haystacks that you would never ever want to do that by yourself, because it would take you the age of the universe.
To take you the age of the universe, exactly.
So not possible. It's about 10 to 100 times more effective than the best pattern recognition algorithms that we've had in the industry.
I see.
Now that's very significant.
Yes.
That means if I want to find any pattern in anything, hell yeah, I'm going to be using deep learning, machine learning. No question about that.
Yes.
So machine learning is the way to pull out data and get intelligence out of data that we can't see. Humans can't see. It's too deeply buried in signal.
Yes.
The signal is buried in the noise.
Yeah. The best way to describe it is like a needle in a haystack.
It is.
We understand it, but we can't find it.
You know it's in there.
We know it's in there. It's in there somewhere.
But you can't write code to pull it out.
Yes, that's right.
Machine learning does that for us, and it does it reliably. So in the apicultural environment, the deepest well of information that we've found that we can tap and pull data out actually comes from a sensor called an accelerometer.
An accelerometer. You explained this to me before.
Yeah.
Accelerometer.
So the accelerometer is the thing that's in your mobile phone. It listens or feels gravity. So when you pick up your mobile phone and you hold it portrait, the screen looks and I can read what's on it. So there we go. If I turn it landscape, all of a sudden, it turns landscape. We can now see landscape.
Okay.
So there's a little sensor in there that's got three little parts in it, X, Y, and Z. A Cartesian plane. That's X and that's Y and that's Z. Z, if you look at where we are relative to the Earth, gravity is pulling down, isn't it?
Okay.
So if my phone moves like that, now gravity is pulling down on that one.
I see.
So the sensor says, hey, it's landscape. Or, hey, it's portrait.
I see.
So that's what a very simple accelerometer does. It's like being a doctor and your patient walks in and says, I think I have AIDS. And you, the doctor, says, well, no, hell no, you look just fine. You don't have AIDS. Are you going to be a happy customer? No! You're going to say, doctor, no, please take blood, put it through the laboratories and tell me, have I got AIDS or not? Then we'll know after the lab work. That's the only way. You cannot look at the dude and say, yeah, you got AIDS. Or, no, you're clean. Off you go. Everything's fine. You can't do that. So these beekeepers are looking at this and saying, not only do they look healthy, the one went on record, he had 92,000 hives. He went on record and said, the bees were looking awesome. They were healthy.
Okay.
The next season, which was a year ago, he lost more than 50,000 of his 92,000 hives.
Oh, are they doing
China is by far the biggest market. However, as I said earlier on, if we take a small startup to the Chinese market and we don't have enough capital behind us, China will eat the startup and spit the bones out before breakfast.
So what do you mean by that? Do you mean it'll just do?
Copy it.
Copy it. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Impossible.
It'll copy it and then just...
Impossible. You can't stop it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So once we capitalize sufficiently from a couple of years of running in Germany and across Europe and maybe the States, then we can come back to China. But then we'll have 10 or 20 million in the bank, European or American money. Mm-hmm. Then the worst case scenario is the human family runs out of nutrition.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going
we
to
have
happen.
to start genetically making our own in the laboratory.
We've got laboratory skills. We can synthesize pretty much anything, but the cost is going to be way up there. It's not going to be available to you and me. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that drove me to get involved in this in the first place. I pictured my son going to the grocery shop in his 635 BMW i, parking it outside, going to the grocery keeper and saying, "Hey, I've got my 3-month-old baby. I want that pumpkin, please. You can have the car." And the grocery keeper says, "I've got 3 of those cars. Can you do any better than that?" Next. Yeah. And if you look at any major change, the printing press, the internet, as these things came up over people's horizons, people who were well motivated to do good for the cause of humanity did just that.
Yes.
People who were well motivated to do harm for humanity did just that, but they are the minority.
That's right.
It's the same with regardless of the media. So if you take a media agnostic, so printing press or internet or whatever, or mobile phone, it's just media. If you take a media agnostic viewpoint of technology, there will always be people who will take the very latest technology and abuse it and do harm with it.
That's right. There's always going to be use and abuse.
There's always going to be use and abuse. We just have to make sure that we don't create technology that is motivated to kill us. That would be rather stupid.
Yeah,
And
but then
I
other than that, it's true. Technology is not in any. I mean, technology can be a massive benefit.
Yes.
A huge benefit.
Yes, and I think the worst case scenario is that we end up serving the robots, and the robot says, "I'll have a Cabernet Sauvignon, please." We think linearly. We do not think exponentially. However, we're faced with exponential growth in knowledge and technology. That is exponential. Moore's law?
That's called Moore's law.
That's Moore's law.
Okay.
Gordon Moore was one of the founders of Intel. So huge giant in terms of technology. He predicted that the density of technology would increase roughly every 2 years, and it's been like that since he predicted. It's pretty accurate.
Wow.
Which is if any period, if anything doubles over a period, that's exponential rise. So technology deployment, but it's not only the technology. Look what Google has done by democratizing knowledge. You can know anything you want to. All you need is a device that's connected to the internet and Google or any of the search engines.
Yes.
And you can know something that 10 seconds ago you did not know.
Unlimited information access.
Unlimited. Yeah. They've democratized information and knowledge. And that is quite an accomplishment if you think about it. Anybody can now know anything.
Yes.
So for me, it means I don't actually need to know everything.
You just need to...
I just need access.
Just need access. Information, you can access everything. That's very true.
Yeah. So on a day, would I actually slip a ring onto my finger and be able to know that I can say, in this case, Google, what's the price of gold today? And it'll tell me $42,000 an ounce.
Yes.
That'll be in 3 weeks' time.
Or even more, you could just pop a language in your head and just be like, wow, I can speak Spanish now.
Entirely possible.
Speak Japanese. Or
within our natural lifespan. Well within that.
That's
you want to become a pilot?
Yeah.
Just put your money down. And this is it. Sit in this chair for 10 minutes, and you've got the real life experience of a pilot for 20 years.
Wow.
Why not?
You really believe within our lifetime?
Oh well, within 5 to 10 years we'll be there.
Wow.
5 to 10 years, because it's exponential. We were talking about exponential things. It goes along and it goes along and it goes along, and you can see, oh yeah, hey, compared to that, it's that much bigger. And then it just leaps off the page.
Jumps up, yeah.
That's exponential. We are not equipped to understand this, to internalize it, and to realize it, such that when we see something going exponential, we always look at, oh wow. Wow!
But we could never we can't really understand what that means until it happens.
Until after the fact.
Yeah, until after. Yes, that's right.
Because we don't think exponentially.
Yeah.
It's not part of our. When you want to hunt a wildebeest in the plains in Africa, you want to get your spear and you want to throw. I'm kind of left-handed with spear throwing. You want to kind of get it, The straight lines and geometry, nothing exponential there. Nothing. There's no element of exponential mathematics in any part of what you're doing there.
I see.
It's all linear. It's all geometry. And that's how, last 100,000 years, that's how we fed ourselves. You know, so this is deeply in us. We know how to think. We can think linearly.
That's right. But
next generation, we're going to have to learn.
So what does that mean for the next generation? What's their learning process? What's their development process? What's their development process going to be like with all of this new information?
It's going to be so much faster.
Right?
We spoke about 10,000 hours to get a PhD. It's going to be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Why not?
Yeah. We're just going to have. Yeah. Wow. But then the physical aspect of the human experience is going to almost disappear. The work part, the getting your hands dirty, this is what's going to suffer. Or do you think this is something that you could shorten?
I think menial labor is going to go and be automated. I think that's well underway. The physical aspect of our existence, we are like the ghost in the machine. Yeah, it depends on how your viewpoint falls in terms of consciousness.
Like we won't have a sense of like, oh, we don't have to walk to get there or to go there. Everything will come to us. We'll just simply sit in a chair and everything will just come to us. It'll be a sense where
that's one scenario, but you mentioned the possibility of getting out of our bodies, or our bodies not being as important as they are today. I don't know that that's a viable thing. As I said, there are a number of ways of understanding consciousness. Essentially, we don't really understand consciousness. If you dig deep enough into physics, we also don't understand gravity, and we also don't understand energy. These are terms which physicists and engineers bandy about. And yes, we can do absolutely spectacular, marvelous things. We put men on the moon 30 years ago. You know, awesome. Was it more than 30 years ago? It's 79, wasn't it? So it's about 30.
Yeah.
So we can do awesome things with the models that we've got in place, but the models are imperfect. Any academic will say, yeah, we don't really understand, because there are gaping holes between large parts of academic endeavor. So
amazing.
Quantum mechanics is very difficult to get it to work together with Newton mechanics. So you and I understand, inherently we understand Newton mechanics. If I slide my phone across the table, I know how much push to put into it to get it to there. It's why it didn't go through the glass window, and it's why it didn't stop over here.
Yes.
So this is our life. We know this, and it's deeply, it's kind of in this case, in my mind, my body mind, because there is an element of body mind, one thing. The neurotransmitters that run around in our veins are the currency of that body mind.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's our mind's ability to say, actually, you know, what you did just there was awesome. If you won the gold cup in your body will be singing, and that's the neurotransmitters your brain has put into your blood for you to.
Yes.
So it's like a endomorphin high. It's something I'm well used to because of my background in playing racket games and sports and so forth. I love it. I'm an adrenaline junkie.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. But it's good to see your perspective on technology and how it's been used now, and where it's going to be used in the future. Because this is such a good topic and something that a lot of people have an opinion on. Where we're going, and are we going in the right direction? Right. That's kind of.
It's a really difficult call. It depends on who acquires autonomous general intelligence first, and what their intentions are for using it.
General autonomous intelligence. Yeah. This is the takeaway. This is the most dominant form of AI.
Yes.
Right. The other ones is deep learning and then machine learning.
Correct.
Using
those are relative. Those two are relatively tame. The other one has potential, enormous potential for either really good or really bad.
Really good or really bad, yeah.
So are we going to go into a world where there will be no technology? I would say that's almost impossible to even imagine.
Have you heard of the simulation theory by Elon Musk, right? Where technology, like you said, exponentially has grown so fast that the chances are that we have already created this and we're in our own simulation, because it's just the growth of it is
simulation. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a difficult one to pass an opinion on.
That's a hard.
We could well be in a simulation. We
Yeah.
may well be in a simulation.
How funny is that? Huh?
Yeah, but
It's mind blowing, right?
It is.
When that theory came out, it was a lot of chatter on the internet about it because it talks about how exponentially it's gone so fast, so quick.
Yes.
That there's no reason to think that this is actually just an all simulation because
Yes.
in the next just like you said, 5-10 years, how it's going to grow up so
Yes.
much more.
So we mentioned Kurzweil. He's popularized this concept of a singularity. He's always saying the singularity is close. So in his words, if I may be as bold as to try and paraphrase, the singularity is where we have, for the first time, a machine that is more powerful than us mentally. And the very next machine that machine makes will be twice as fast or twice as better.
That's where basically we've lost control of it. We can no longer switch it off. It's like reaches singularity.
Yes.
It's like its own thing now. It's
Yes.
its own entity.
Yes.
And it's more powerful than us. Yeah,
Yes.
it's more smarter than us.
Yes.
So the first thing it would do is just recreate itself.
Well, that's where it becomes really close and personal. Because if you look at the way we're managing this planet, the first thing it really should do is exterminate us because we've mismanaged this thing to such an extent.
Yeah, that's right. That's the common narrative with all these Armageddon movies, right?
Yes.
Things happens in an instant.
It sells movies. It certainly sells movies.
That's right. But yeah, that's okay. So what's it called again? That form of AI, was it?
I'm not a specialist in this. It's sort of an AI that would pass the Turing test, or an autonomous general intelligence (AGI).
Autonomous meaning that's its own thing. Yeah,
we're not programming it.
We can't program it. Autonomous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we can, but we're not.
Yeah,
it's independent of human intellect.
So even with this mirror, from what you understand, with the fitness mirror, like you said, there's so many on the market. That's still just machine learning, isn't it? That's still just simple.
That's the technological peak. Yes.
So it's good to get that understanding of what AI is, and also how it's used in agriculture, right?
Yeah.
How it's used in medical, how it's used in fitness, and how actually it's not really the AI that is portrayed in these crazy Armageddon scenarios. Yes, I see. No. But it is exciting. It's very, very exciting. Another thing, obviously a little still advanced technology, is VR.
Yes.
VR, and this Shenzhen is sort of a lot of VR is developed here too, right? And having these virtual reality experiences where you can shop, you can travel, you exercise, right? Probably even more. You could have more pleasure, any kind of stimulus, right?
Yeah.
And VR, like a lot of people have said that VR kind of became uninteresting for a while, like. Not so much attention was gone onto it. AI is now taking, but where is VR now in the world?
No, I think VR is not going to go away anytime soon. It has the capacity to augment our everyday experience and enrich us, give us a richer spectrum of experience. So I don't see that going away anytime soon. Yeah,
because the only VR that I've seen lately that's been quite impressive is this boxing VR, where you're actually like engaging an opponent. On the glasses, you're engaging an opponent and slipping punches and fighting back. That I thought was done quite well. Even though there was a bit of bugs, there's a few strikes that didn't, the virtual opponent didn't react.
All right.
And a couple where, a little bit of bugs, but I thought that was pretty impressive. You could actually, because that's not the programming there. I can do whatever I want. I can just run away.
Yes.
So that I thought was the coolest VR I've seen so far. But I heard from someone with VR that the VR, the investment into it is a lot. I mean, the graphic, the animation, and the animation side there's so much investment in it. But how do you monetize it? What are you selling, right?
Well, VR is your market is I think primarily gaming.
Gaming, yeah.
Augmented AR, augmented reality is kind of where I see that's also not going to go away. Where you're walking down the street and you're in a foreign city, you say, "Give me a map," and in your eye you see a bird's eye view of where you are, and it's got you in the middle. That's you, and you can see if you turn this way, the map goes this way. You turn that way, the map goes that way. In your eye, no goggles, nothing.
Nothing, or just in, like that, Yeah.
So it'll save us carrying these things around. These are
Yeah, right now there are glasses you can put on that basically show the screen. That's about it, right?
That's about it.
That's
yeah.
about it, right? But they're not selling. They're not kicking off as much because it just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's they're too heavy and cumbersome that people might as well just look at their phone, right? I think it's
Correct. So the nascent, the growth market there, I think, is what Musk is talking about. I don't know enough about his technology to say yay or nay because it's not in the public domain. But what I can tell you is other public domain researchers are doing very, very exciting things in understanding how to use growth factors to regrow something as simple and as unimportant, relatively, as an optic nerve. So if you're a lab specialist and you're working in that environment, if you take a rat and you crush its optic nerve, until a couple of months ago, you knew for sure that eye was out of service. It's not going to come back. Rat's not going to see through that eye ever again. Because optic nerves and nerves in general, if you have a spinal injury, when the nerve is broken, it kind of retracts in its sheath.
Okay.
Relatively speaking, quite a distance, and that makes it almost impossible
to reconnect.
And that's when you'll get your vision back, when enough of those nerves grow back together. They've worked out how to re-stimulate a crushed optic nerve in a rat and give it sight back.
Wow.
When I saw that, I thought, oh wow, this has a direct input into the human computer interface. Because if we can manipulate nerves and regrow nerves, the next step is to regrow a nerve onto a piece of silicon. Then we've got the silicon neural interface at neuronal level.
I see. Then you got the neural link.
So one of my colleagues in the UK did a PhD, and she was studying crayfishes and their brains, and she had, what was it called? It was a multi-electrode array.
Okay.
Piece of glass like that. You take the brain out of the animal, which is a crustacean, and you put it in there. And it's all wet, so wet laboratory, and it had little gold pads in an array, 20 by 20 or 40 by, I don't know the number, an array of gold pads, and you can then put stuff into this thing's brain and take stuff out of its brain. As long as it lives, you keep it in a solution that keeps it alive for a day or two or three. So that we can do. But look at the scale here. Look at how unfinessed that is. It's chunks of metal on a glass, and they're 20 here and 20 here. Okay, the size of the neurons in this animal are bigger than us, but nowhere near that size. So it was a really clunky way of saying, well, we can get information into this brain in a dish, and we can get information out of it. What we need for a neural interface is at the synaptic level, one synapse. We need to be able to say, is that synapse firing now? And the answer is yes or no. And it's a little bit more complex than that, because when neurons fire, there is an electrical element and there's also a chemical element. And nobody, as far as I know, is accounting for both of those. We have to account for both electrical and chemical changes that occur in the synapse when it fires. When we can do that, then we will have the level of interface where we could put information, we could put fighter pilot version 3.0 into your head.
Yeah, you could put a fighter pilot brain or this information into my head.
Yes.
And you could then the same way take it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, and that you say is very, very close.
5 to 10 years, I think.
That's wow.
Because it's exponential. It's yet again, I'm not qualified to take a guess, but if I look at what's happened with exponential growth in technology, and with, as I said a moment ago, with the democratization of knowledge, that's all. Everybody uses search engines today. We don't have to know anything. We just have to.
We just type it in. That's right.
You want to know something? It's there. It's for you.
Yes.
So it's changed the world we live in, and I think it's changing for the good. You don't have to go and...
I like that, because you are a tech guy, so you are, and also agriculture, you care about the world, care about obviously what your kids are going to be eating in the future. So it's nice to hear it is a more positive reality of what the future could be with technology. That's a lot more inspiring.
Yeah.
Some people can be a bit negative about it and say, yeah, I mean, we're slaves to technology. We're slaves to our phone. But sometimes it just seems so dramatic. I feel it's kind of like somebody saying, oh, in the future we're all going to be alcoholics. I think no. I think
Indeed.
There are some people that will be able to maintain a balance.
Calls for a balance, exactly.
That's really well said. Yeah, thanks for that. That's been a really good, in-depth podcast. Not only about your personal passion and project with helping beekeepers, but also technology, where we've come from, where we're going to, a potential future, and meditation. Yeah, it's to be able to connect with yourself, realize the more important things in life, and have this, and if people do this, technology will have its place. It'll serve its place. It'll be a good, yes, healthy relationship, right?
Yes. It's
fantastic. Thanks so much.
It's the future I want to give.
Big shake.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Stay tuned for equally awesome people on the podcast in the very near future. Bye, guys.
Bye.